Hello friends, welcome to Learner's Planet. Friends, in this session I am taking doubts sent by some students. Let's take the first question, and you are suggested as well as requested to attend the basic sessions before you come for the doubt solving session. And when the question appears on the screen, just try to do it on your own. Okay, so let's take the first question. Now the first question is from pipes and cisterns. Basically you can say time and work. 3 pipes A, B and C fill a tank in 6 hours. After working on it together for 2 hours, C is closed and A and B can fill the remaining part in 7 hours. The number of hours taken by C alone to fill the tank is. Now this is really simple problem. You should attend the basic sessions of time and work, because if you are asking this sort of simple problem, that means your basic concepts are not at all clear, right? You don't even need paper and pen to solve this problem. See, in 6 hours, all of them can fill the tank completely, right? That means in 2 hours, the 1/3 of the tank is already filled, right? Now the remaining 2/3 of the tank, now C is leaving. The remaining 2/3 of the tank is filled by A and B in 7 hours. So capacity of A and B in 7 hours, they can fill up 2/3 of the tank. So in 7 hours, 2/3 of the tank, that means the complete tank can be filled by A and B in is 10.5 hours, that is 7 into 3 by 2. Now you know the combination ABC 1 upon A plus 1 upon B plus 1 upon C is 1 upon 6, that is in 1 hour A, B and C, they will fill 1 upon 6 of the tank, right? Capacity of A and B, C, it is 10.5, or I can say 21 by 2. So in 1 hour 2 by 21 tank is filled by A and B. C, let's calculate, and that's 1 upon 6. So now you just take this side, just multiplied by 2, so it's 4 by 42, it is 7 by 42, so it's 3 by 42, or I can say 1 by 14. So C alone can fill up 1 by 14th of the tank in 1 hour. That means in 14 hours he can fill up the complete tank. So that's pretty simple. Okay, bucket P has thrice capacity as bucket Q. It takes 60 minutes for bucket P to fill the empty drum. How many turns it will take for both the buckets P and Q, having each turn together to fill the empty drum? Okay, bucket P has thrice capacity, and if it is taking 60 minutes, that means bucket Q will take 180 minutes, that is 3 hours to fill up the empty drum. Right now both of them are working together. So precisely we just have to find out how much time it will take if both of them are working together, right? P alone takes 60 minutes, Q takes 180 minutes all alone, and if they are working together, how much time will they take? So in 1 minute, P fills up 1 upon 60th of the tank, Q fills up 1 upon 180th of the tank, so it's 3 by 180, so it's 3 by 3 plus 1, 4 upon 180. So in 1 minute, 1 upon 45 part of the tank is filled up, so the complete tank will be filled up in 45 minutes or 45 turns, right? A tank is filled by 3 pipes with uniform flow. The first 2 pipes operating simultaneously fill the tank in the same time, during which the tank is filled by the third pipe alone. The second pipe fills the tank 5 hours faster than the first pipe and 4 hours slower than the third pipe. The time required by the first pipe. So it's again very simple. So this is A, B and C. Suppose this here it is given the second pipe fills the tank 5 hours faster than the first pipe. I assume this is X hours. 8 X hours. Then obviously the second pipe will take X minus 5 hours, right? Because it is taking 5 hours faster, that means it will take 5 hours less than pipe A, and it is 4 hours slower, so this means this is X minus 9. So this will take X minus 9. Or what you can do, if you are not clear with this, you start with this. It will take X hours, then it must be taking X plus 4 hours, and it should take X plus 5 hours, right? Any of the combination you can take. Now the first two pipes operating simultaneously fill the tank in same time. So in 1 hour it will fill 1 upon x of the tank, B will fill 1 upon x minus 5 of the tank, and both of them together will fill 1 upon x minus 9 of the tank, because the first two pipes operating simultaneously fill the tank in the same time during which the tank is filled by the third pipe all alone. Right, now you have two options: either you just solve the equations, go for the cross multiplication, or you can go by the options as well. Now obviously 6 will not be suitable, it will give the negative answer. 10, so 1 upon 10 plus 1 upon 5. So precisely it is 1 upon 10 plus 2 upon 10, that is 3 upon 10. On the right hand side is this 1 by 1, so it's even not correct. It is 1 by 15 plus 1 by 10, and here in this side 1 upon 6. So that suits. 10 plus 15, 25 by 150, that's 1 by 6. So this is the correct answer. Okay. Two pipes A and B fill a cistern in 37.5 minutes and 45 minutes respectively. Individual capacities have been given. Both pipes are open. The cistern will be filled in just half an hour if the pipe B is turned off after. Okay. So now that's very simple concept. Just listen to me carefully. This pipe B we have to turn off, right? That means for the entire duration of half an hour, the cistern is filled in just half an hour. For entire half an hour duration, this pipe A is working. Now pipe A can fill up the tank while working all alone in 75 by 2 minutes, right? 75 by 2 minutes while is working all alone, right? Now that means in 1 minute it is filling 2 by 75 of the tank, and in 30 minutes 4 by 5 of the tank, right? That means while for the entire duration of half an hour, if pipe A is working, it can fill up 4 by 5 of the tank. That means 1/5 of the part of the tank has been filled up by this pipe B. Right, listen to me once again. When pipe A is working for 30 minutes, it can fill up 4 upon 5 part of the tank, and the remaining part, that is 1 by 5, has to be filled by pipe B, right? Now pipe B can fill up the complete tank in 45 minutes, right? So complete tank in 45 minutes, that means 1/5 of the tank it can fill up in 9 minutes, right? That means you can turn off the pipe B after 9 minutes, because it has to fill up just 1/5 of the tank, because the tank has to be filled up in half an hour, and if pipe A alone is working for half an hour, it can fill up 4/5 of the tank, right? So that's very simple. No much paperwork is required. It's very conceptual problem, you can say. A booster pump can be used for filling as well as for emptying a tank. The capacity of the tank is 2400 meter cube. The emptying capacity of the tank is 10 meter cube per minute. Okay, higher than filling capacity, and the pump needs 8 minutes lesser to empty the tank than it needs to fill it. What is the filling capacity of the pump? Now once again I would suggest you to go by options. The emptying capacity is 10 meter cube per minute higher, right? This is the data we are having. Okay, now suppose filling capacity is 50. That means 2400 by 50, that is the time this booster pump will take to fill up the tank. So 2400 by 50, so that's 48 minutes, right? And emptying capacity is 10 meter per cube higher, so it should be 60. So 2400 divided by 60, so that will give you 40. minutes, and difference we are getting 8 minutes, which is already given over there. The filling capacity and the pump needs 8 minutes lesser to empty the tank, so that's there. So that's easily verified. So if you go by option, the problem will be very easy for you, right? Once again, the capacity of the tank is this, and the difference between the emptying capacity and filling capacity is 10 meter cube per minute, and the timing difference is 8 minutes. Right, you just go by option. 2400 divided by 50, you get 48 minutes to fill up the tank, and 2400 by 60, it takes 40 minutes to empty the tank, right? So in this case only we are getting the difference is 8 minutes. In remaining cases will not be able to get this difference. Okay, so not much paperwork is required. Now this question, in a garden there are 10 rows and 12 columns of mango trees. The distance between the two trees is 2 meter and distance of 1 meter is left from all the sides of boundary on the garden. The length of the garden is, so that's pretty simple. 10 rows are there with 12 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and this is one row, then second row, third row, fourth row, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. Now the distance between the two trees is 2 meters. So we have this gap as 2 meter. Now we have 12 trees over there, and we must be having 11 gaps. So the total distance from this point to this point is 22 meter. Right, after that 1 meter is left this side and 1 meter is left this side, so 22 plus 123 and 124 meter. Okay, that is the length of the garden. I hope you are clear. In a family, the father took 1/4 of the cake, and he had 3 times as much as each of the other member had. The total number of family members is. Now assume the total number of family members is n, right? Total number, and number of pieces of cake is x. Now father has eaten x by 4 because he has taken 1/4. So total number of pieces, suppose x, that means x by 4 has been taken by father. That means remaining 3/4 x has been taken by the remaining family members, right? Now father has taken so this is the total of remaining family members. So if I divide this by n minus 1, right? So that means this portion has been shared by n minus 1 family member, that is excluding father, right? So each one will get 3x by 4 by n minus 1. Now father has taken 3 times of this, as much as each of this family members. That means this portion is 3 times this portion, and this portion is actually portion of each one. Okay, so that's just have to find out the value of x. So it's cancelled. N minus 1 is equal to 9, n is equal to 10. Okay, I hope you are clear. The fluid content in a bucket can fill 4 bottles or 7 small bottles. A full large bottle is used to fill an empty small bottle. What fraction of the fluid is left over in the large bottle when the small one is full? What we can do is we can assume the capacity of the large bottles as well as small bottles, right? I take a number that is multiple of 4 and 7 both, that is 28, right? So I assume in this bucket 28 liters of fluid is there. So if 28 liter fluid is distributed among 4 bottles, the big bottle will have, 7 liters each, and small one have 4 liters each, right? Now in the second case, a full large bottle, that is the 7 liter bottle, is used to fill an empty small bottle. So only 4 liter will be filled up, remaining 3 liters will be there in this large bottle out of 7 liters. So the fluid that is left over in the large bottle, that is 3 by 7. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Sanket earns twice as much in the month of March as in each of the other months of the year. What part of his entire annual earning was earned in March? Okay, that's pretty simple. You don't need even paperwork. See, I suppose in every month he is earning ₹1 and in March he is earning ₹2. So the total earning of the year is ₹13, and out of that 2 in March. So that's 2 by 13. So that's pretty simple. Okay. A boy multiplied 423 by a number and obtained 65589 as answer. If both the 5's in the answer are wrong and all other figures are correct, the correct answer is precisely what we have to do. It's a 423 into x. 423 multiplied by a number, I suppose that it is x, and the correct answer is 6-89 as both the 5's are incorrect. Okay, now what we can do is, see, 423, it is multiple of 3, right? 3 into 1, 4, 1. That means your answer should also be at least multiple of 3. Okay, because 141, it's a prime number, so your answer should definitely be multiple of 3. Okay, it will be difficult for us to check with 141, but for 3 we can definitely check. So correct answer is among the options. You just first of all eliminate the options which are not multiple of 3, right? So here 8 and 1 9, 9, and this is not multiple of 3. 8 and 1 9, 9, 8, it is not multiple of 3. Okay, 6 and 3 9, and 9, it is not multiple of 3. 8 into 10, so this is the only number that is multiple of 3. So you just check it also. 8 and 4 12, 9 and 6, so this is 100% multiple of 3. So this is the correct choice. Okay, I hope you are clear. Very simple problem, do not get confused. Okay, what fraction of 4 by 7 must be added to itself to make the sum as 1 by 14, or I can say 15 by 14. So I assume x of 4 by 7 should be added to 4 by 7. So precisely what we are doing, 4 by 7 x plus 4 by 7, that means it is 4 by 7 x plus 1, right? So x plus 1 is equal to 15 by 8. So x is equal to 7 by 8. Okay. So in other words, what you can say that 7 by 8 of 4 by 7 plus 4 by 7 added to 4 by 7 will give you 1 by 14. So that's very simple arithmetic calculation. In a classroom, if 6 students per bench are assigned to accommodate all students, 1 more bench will be required. However, if 7 students are accommodated per bench, then there would be a space left for 5 students. What is the number of students in the class? I assume the total number of benches are x, right? So if 6 students per bench are assigned, then the total number of students can be calculated. So 6 students per bench, that means 6x students, and still 6 students are left. So this is the total number of students, right? But if 7 students are accommodated per bench, so how many students will be occupied? 7x. Right, and the space for 5 students will be left. So it's this. Now both of them are same. So x is equal to 6 plus 5, 11. Right, so total 11 benches are there. That means the number of students are 66 plus 6, 72. Okay. If 6 students are set on each bench, 6x students will be will take the bench, and the 6 students will still be left. So this is the total number of students, and x is the number of benches. If 7 students accommodated per bench, then the total number of students who can sit is 7x, but space for 5 students are left. That means 7x students can sit, but the space for 5 students is left. So precisely this is 7x minus 5 is the number of students. This is the number of students, this is the number of students. Just compare them and get the value of x, that is number of benches available. Okay, this is the total number of students. You are asked about the total number of students, so 11 into 6 plus 6 or 11 into 7 minus 5. The taxi charges in a city comprise of a fixed charge together with the charge of distance covered. For a journey of 16 km, the charges paid are rupees 156, and for a journey of 24 km, the charges paid are rupees 204. What will a person have to pay for traveling a distance of 30 km? Okay, so for a journey of 16 km, the charges are 156. Out of that, suppose x rupees is fixed, and for 16 kilometers maybe y rupees per kilometer is charged, right? And for this 204, x rupees is fixed, and y kilometer per y rupees per kilometer is charged for 24 kilometer. Okay, so you can get the value of y easily. If I deduct 24 minus 16, so 8y is equal to 204 minus 56, so that's 48 by 8, 6. So per kilometer charges are rupees 6. Okay, that is the value of y. Now 16 into 6, 96, 96, 56 plus 156 is equal to x plus 96, so x will be equal to 56 plus 4, 60 rupees. So fixed charges are 60 rupees and per kilometer charges are 6 rupees. So if the person has to travel 30 kilometer, 60 rupees plus 30 into 6, 180 rupees. So total he has to pay 240 rupees. Okay, I hope that's clear to you. A piece of cloth a piece of cloth is rupees 35. If the length of the piece would have been 4 meter longer and each meter cost rupees 1 less, the cost would have remained unchanged. How long is the piece? Okay, the price of this piece of cloth is length into price per meter. That's actually 35. That is L into P is 35. And if the length of the piece 4 meter longer, that means L plus P and P minus 1, still it is 35. I'm sorry, L plus 4 meter longer, so it is L plus 4, P minus 1, still it is 35. Now among the options we have been given length, right? Now you should be enough smart to pick up the right option. See here, 9 and 35, they are co-prime to each other. 10 and 35 we have certain relationship, that means 5 is there. So we can choose 10 to verify the option. Suppose 10 is the length of the piece, that is this piece of cloth. So if it is 10, then it has to be 3.5 to make it 35, right? Now we have to just verify if 10 is increased by 4, 14, and it is 2.5, then we get 35 or not. So 14 into 2.5 we get 35. So that's very clear, 10 meter is the correct answer. Okay, no need to go for the solution of the equation because that will be unnecessary time consuming and space consuming. So just go by option and pick up the option smartly. As I told you, just neglect 9 meter because we don't have anything common between 9 and 35, right? And at least your this L and P, at least they must be having some common factor with 35. Otherwise it will be very complicated equation. If you take L as 9, then what will you have as P to make L into P as 35? So unnecessary equation will be complicated, and in competitive exams very complicated data and equations are not asked. So you just pick up the option in a smart way. Okay, if 10 meter is not correct, then you should go for 14. Because 12 is once again absurd. It is co-prime with 35, right? Vidushi and Sanya distribute rupees 100 each in charity. Vidushi distributes money to 5 more people than Sanya, and Sanya gives each rupees 1 more than Vidushi. How many people are recipients? So suppose there are X people, X persons are there. Vidushi is distributing X persons, and Sanya is distributing, I guess Vidushi distributes money to 5 more people. Okay, so this is Vidushi and this is Sanya. Okay, so 100 by X is the amount distributed per person. X persons are there, 100 rupees, so that's, and 100 upon X minus 5 amount distributed to each person by Sanya. Right, now this amount per person and this amount per person is actually, the difference is rupees 1. Precisely Sanya is paying 1 rupee more than Vidushi. So this minus this actually is this minus this will be minus 1 and this minus this will be 1. Okay. Now since you are getting an integral solution to this equation, 100 upon X minus 5 minus 100 upon X is equal to 1, right? You are getting an integral solution. That means X minus 5 and X, both of them should be factors of 100, right? Both of them should be factors of 100. And since difference between X minus 5 and X is 5, so you need to choose the multiples of 5 only, which are factors of 100. So you can take combination 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, something like that. Now, two consecutive multiples of 5 and both of them are divisor of 100, we can get in this case, right? So 100 by 5, 20, and if I take 5, X is 5, so it will be blunder. If I take X is 10, then 100 by 5, that's 20 and that's 10, so the answer is not 1. If I take 20 and 25, so 100 by 25, that's 4 minus, I'm sorry, 100 by 25 if I take, so 100 by 20 is 5 minus 100 by 25, 4, that's 1. So 20 and 25 is the right combination. That means X minus 5 is 20 and X is 25. So total number of people are 20 plus 25, 45. Okay. There are two examination rooms, A and B. If 10 students are sent from A to B, then the number of students in each room is same. If 20 candidates are sent from B to A, then the number of students in A doubles the number of students in B, the number of students in room A. I suppose the number of students in room A is A and B is B. So if A minus 10, then B plus 10. Both of them will be equal. And if the number of students, if 20 candidates are sent from B to A, that means A plus 20 is equal to 2 times B minus 20. Okay, now A minus B is precisely 20. So I put the value of A minus B as 20 over here. So it's A minus B, it is actually 2B minus 40. So if I take 1B over this side, so that will be A minus B. So A minus B is 20 plus 20 is equal to B minus 40. So B must be 80, right? So if B is 80, A must be 100. Pretty simple. What I did over here, it's 2 times B minus 20, so 2B minus 40. So 2B is actually B plus B, 1B I took left hand side, so I can put up the value of A minus B as 20. So A minus B is 20 plus 20, then we are left with just 1B this side minus 40, so B is 80. Now you can check it very well if you wish to go for the cross verification. If you send 20 students from this class to this class, it will be 60 and it will be 120. So that's pretty simple. Okay, and if you wish to go by option, that's also very easy. 20 cannot be the correct answer because difference between A and B is 20. Now if 80 is the correct answer, suppose this is 80, A and B is 100. So if you shift 20 students over here, it will be 100 and it will be 80. So that's not the double. So if you take 100 over here and 80 over here, if you send 20 students, it will be 60 and it's 120. So the ratio is 2:1. That's the number of students in A is double than that of B. Okay, so you can go by any method. A certain number of tennis balls were purchased for rupees 450, 5 more balls could have been purchased in the same amount if each ball was cheaper by 15. The number of balls purchased was, I suppose, X. So for 450 rupees, X balls were purchased. So this is the price per ball, right? And if each ball was cheaper by rupees 15. So this is the price per ball, and this is in case 5 more balls could have been purchased. So, and this difference is 15, right? I just explain it once again. I suppose the total number of balls is X. So for 450 rupees divided by X, this is the price per ball in first case. And for 450 rupees X plus 5 balls, this is the price of balls in second case, and the difference between the two cases is rupees 15. Okay, now we have to find out the value of X. Now once again, X and X plus 5, both of them should be a factor of 450. And what you can do is you can just put up the value from option and see where the equation is satisfied. Okay, so suppose you put 10, so it will be 45 and 30. 450 by 10, 45 minus 30. So you are getting 15, so that's correct. Okay, so very simply you can do it. A number of friends decided to go picnic and planned to spend rupees 96 on eatables. 4 of them, however, did not turn up. As a consequence, the remaining one had to contribute rupees 4 each extra. The number of those who attended the picnic was, I assume initially the number of persons are X. So 96 rupees divided by X, this much is the amount each one has to pay, right? But 4 people did not turn up, so now everybody has to pay this much amount. Okay, and the difference is, I'm sorry, 4 of them did not, each one of them has to pay rupees 4 extra. 96 people, 96 rupees X people, so per head contribution is 96 by X, 96 rupees X minus 4 persons, so total individual contribution is this individual contribution and this individual contribution, the difference is 4 rupees. Okay, once again what you can do is you just check X and X minus 4, both of them should be factor of 96, or else what you can do is you just do it 1 over here. Okay, and cancel 96 from 4. So it is 24 and it is also 24. So X minus 4 and X, both of them should be factor of 24. Okay, so and if just put up the value of X from the options and see where do you get 1. The number of those who attended the picnic was, so among options we have been given the value of X minus 4. So if X minus 4 is 8, then X must be 12. So 24 by 8, that is 24 by 8 minus 4, 24 by 8 only, because X minus 4 is 8, so 24 by 8 is 3 and 24 by 12 is 2, so the difference is 1 rupee. So the first option itself is correct. That means initially 12 people planned, so 96 by 12, each one has to pay 8 rupees, but the people who actually came were 8, so it's everybody has to pay. Right? And after some practice, even you don't need to make this sort of equation, because that will also be unnecessary time wastage. You just can start from here only. 96 people, and as a consequence one has to pay rupees 4 extra. 4 didn't turn up, so 96 divided, just go from the options, 96 by 8, and since this is the number of persons who actually attended the picnic, and other case is 96 by 12. Just verify if the difference you are getting is 4 or not. Similarly, you just proceed with the other options, right? So initially you need to make the equation for practice, otherwise actually you don't need to make any sort of equation. Just go by the option directly. A man, a woman and a boy can complete a job in 3, 4 and 12 days respectively. How many boys must assist one man and one woman to complete the job in 1/4 of a day? Now, problem is simple. Just listen to me carefully. men can complete the work in 3 days, woman can complete the work in 4 days, and boy can complete the work in 12 days. So in one day the man can do 1/3 of the work. So in 1/4 of the day a man can do 1/12 of the work. In a woman can complete the work in 4 days. So in one day the woman can complete 1/4 of the work, and in 1/4 of the day she can do 1/16 of the work. So this work is done by one man and one woman. Remaining work has to be done by boys, right? So we don't know the number of boys, so I assume this to be X. And one boy can complete the work in 12 days. That means in one day the boy will be able to do 1/12 of the work, and in 1/4 of the day he can do 1/48 of the work. Right? 1/48 is the work done by one boy. So X by 48 is the work done by X boys. And this total work is completed in 1/4 of the day. Right? Now 12, 16, 48, the LCM is 48. So just I cancel it, and 12 4s are 48, 16 3s are 48. 7 plus X is equal to 48. So X is equal to 48 minus 7. 41 boys are required. Okay, I hope you are clear. It is just unitary method I have used over here. 12 children take 16 days to complete a work which can be completed by 8 adults in 12 days. Okay, so what you can do is you can compare the capacity of children and adult. 12 children 16 days, 12 into 16 children days is equal to 8 adults 12 days. 8 into 12 men days. Men, I consider adult to be men. So it is 2 children is equal to 1 man. That means the capacity of 1 man is equivalent to 2 children, and this is the total man days requirement. That is 8 into 12 is the total man days required to complete the task. Either this or this, you can take any one of them. 16 adults started working, and after 3 days 10 adults left. First of all, we just see in 3 days how much work is completed. See, 8 adults take 12 days to complete the work. 8 adults 12 days. Adults double, that means days will be half. So for 8 adults 12 days, 16 adults 6 days. So 16 adults can do the entire work in 6 days. That means in 3 days they have already done 50% of the work, right? So by the time 10 adults left, 50% of the work was already done. Now we have to do just 50% of the work. Now 10 adults left, so we are left with 6 adults or 6 men, and now 4 children are joining them. So this is 4 children. Okay, so 6 men, 4 children. 4 children equivalent to 2 men, because 2 children is 1 man, so 4 children is 2 men. So in all, now we have 8 men, right? 8 men can complete the work in 12 days. 8 men can complete the work in 12 days, right? But we are now left with just 50% of the work. 8 men complete work in 12 days, so 50% of the work will be done in just 6 days. Okay, so very simply you can solve it. I hope you are clear. Free notebooks were distributed equally among children of a class. The number of notebooks each child got was 1/8 of the number of children. Had the number of children been half, each child would have got 16 notebooks. Total how many notebooks were distributed? Now suppose I assume the total number of children is X, right? And the number of notebooks each child gets is 1/8 of number of children. So each child is getting X by 8 books. X children, each is getting X by 8 books. So total number of books is X square by 8. Okay. Had the number of children been half, so if it is X by 2, each child would have got 16 notebooks. So number of children is X by 2, and each child is getting 16 books, and this both of them are equal, right? So can be solved very easily. x is equal to 64. That means the number of students is 64. So we have to find out total number of notebooks. So that is x into x by 8, 64 into 64 by 8, or I can say 64 into 8, that is 512. Okay, it is 8 square into 8, 8 cube, that is 512. So pretty simple. Once again, I assume the number of children is x, and each child is getting 1/8 of number of notebooks, that is 1/8 of number of children. So 1/8 of number of children is x by 8. This is number of children, each is getting x by 8, so total notebooks are x into x by 8. In the other story, if the number of children is half, that means number of children is x by 2, and each child gets 16 notebooks. So total number of notebooks are x by 2 into 16, and this is equal to x square by 8. So by that you can calculate the value of x, that is number of children, right? And x into x by 8 is total number of notebooks. Put x value of x and get the number, right? A classroom has equal number of boys and girls. 8 girls left to play Kho-Kho, leaving twice as many boys as girls in the classroom. What was the total number of boys and girls present initially? Okay, we can even go by option. See, initially what was the total number of boys and girls present, right? I assume this to be 16. Now the classroom has equal number of boys and girls. So 8 boys are there, 8 girls are there, right? Now if 8 girls are leaving twice as many boys as girls in the classroom. So if 8 girls are leaving, there will be no girl left in the classroom, so that's wrong option. So if it is 24, so boys, girls, boys, 12, 12. If 8 are leaving, it's the remaining in the class is 4. Now leaving twice as many boys as girls, so the ratio of boy and girl is 1:3, so which is also not possible. And similarly, if it is 16 and it's 8 are leaving, 8 is there, so 8 is half of 16, or 16 is double of 8, so 32 is the correct answer. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Just verify it once again. Equal number of boys and girls, so 16 is a breakup. 8 girls are leaving, so remaining is girls is 8, and the remaining students, boys are twice than girls, twice as many boys as girls, right? So boys are 16, girls are 8, so that's pretty simple. Okay, the highest score in an inning was 3/11 of the total, and the next highest was 3/11 of the remainder. If the score different by 9, the total score was, okay, I assume the total score was x, so highest score is 3/11 of x, right? And the next highest was 3/11 of the remainder, so remainder of the is 8/11 of x, right? Total, if it is x minus 3/11 of x, that will give you 8/11 of x, and of the remainder it is 3/11. So this is the second inning, this is the first inning, and the difference is 9. Okay, so we just have to take LCM, so it is 11 into 11, 33 minus 24, so that is 9x by 11 into 11 is equal to 9. So x is equal to 121. The total score, that is x, that is 121. Pretty simple. David gets on the elevator at the 11th floor of a building and rides up at the rate of 57 floor per minute. At the same time, Albert gets on an elevate at the 51st floor of the same building and rides down at the rate of 63 floors per minute. If they continue traveling at these rates, then at which floor will their paths cross? Okay, so that's a simple problem. See, this is 11th floor, right? The person is starting from here and the other person is starting from here, from 51st floor, right? And this person is starting at 57 floor per minute, and this person is coming down with 63 floors per minute, right? See, if it is floor per minute or meter per minute, that really doesn't matter in mathematical calculation. Okay, now the gap between 11th floor and 51st floor is 40 floor. So this is the gap of 40 floor, or we just can say 40 meter. right? Now their relative speed, since both of them are coming from opposite direction, their relative speed will be nothing but the addition of their speed. So that is actually 120 floor per minute or 120 meter per minute, right? Now they have to cover a 40 floor or 40 meter. So they can cover jointly, they can cover 120 meter in 1 minute. So in covering 40 meter, they will take 1/3 of minute, right? 1/3 of minute. So that means after starting from this point, and this guy will meet this guy in after 1/3 of minute. So he's covering 57 floor in 1 minute. So in 1/3 minute, he'll be able to cover 19 floor. Right? So he's starting from 11th floor, he will cover 19th floor. That means on 30th floor, 11 plus 19, both the guys will meet, or they will their path will be crossed. So that's pretty simple, whether it is floor per minute or meter per minute. In mathematic calculation, it really doesn't matter. Okay. On selling a chair at 7% loss and a table at 17% gain, a man gains rupees 296. If he sells chair and table, then he gains rupees 400, the actual price of the table. Okay, I assume the price of the chair to be X and price of table to be Y. So 7% loss, so it's 7x minus 7x, sorry, and plus 17y divided by 100, and the total profit is 296.00. Okay, similarly, chair at 7% gain plus this is 12% gain, and it is 400. See, when I am in the denominator we were having 100, so I just did the cross multiplication to make the problem simple. Okay, now we have to find out the actual price of the table. So just add both of them. 17 plus 12, 29y is equal to this 00696 divided by 29. That is the price of table. So just see, it's if it is 29 2s are 58, then we are left with 11 and 6, so 29 4s are, so 2400 is the price. Okay, Albert buys 4 horses and 9 cows for 13400. I assume the price of the horse is X rupees and the price of cow is Y rupees. So 4x plus 9y is 13400. If he sells the horse at 10% profit, so 4 horses at 10% profit, so the price will be 4 into 10% of x, so it is just, I just 10x, I'll just go for the cross multiplication as in the previous case, plus 9 into 20y is equal to 188000, right? This is nothing but the profit calculation, right? 4 horses are there. Per horse he is earning 10% of the profit, so 10 by 100, and here per cow he is earning 20% of the profit, so 20 by 100. I went for cross multiplication. I take 0, 0 and 0. Then I can take, I wish to have the price of the horse, that is actually X. So what I do is I just take out this 2 also, 2, and this is 9 4 0 0. Okay, now we deduct this equation from this, so 2x is equal to 13400, from that 9400, so 13 minus 9 400 4000, sorry, so x is equal to 2000, that is price of the horse. Okay, a dishonest dealer professes to sell his goods at cost price, but he uses a false weight and thus gain 618 by 47%. For a kilogram, he uses a weight of. See here in the denominator, I am able to see an absurd figure of 47, right? So bright chances are there my answer should be multiple of 47 among the options, right? So that I can see 940. Okay, but I need to go for the cross verification, and why I am taking this as a multiple of 47, that also I'll make it clear. See, I assume the cost price is 1000 rupees per kilogram, right? That is 1 rupee per kilogram. And here in this case the selling price is same, but he's making this much profit. That means actually cost price is not 1000 rupees per kilogram, right? So if I choose this option 940, okay, suppose he's selling 940 the stuff of 940 rupees worth stuff, okay, so cost price must be 940, but selling price is actually what? 1000, right? So what is the profit he is making? 600 over 940 into 100, right? So that's, you'll be able to get this data. That is 300 by 47, and this data is also 300 by 47. Okay, so basically what happens, you put the cost price in the denominator, right? So if you put cost price in the denominator and the profit is actually part of cost price, so your answer, if this is the profit, this in the denominator we should have multiple of this. Okay, so if you are able to get that clue, the problem will be very easy for you. Or else what you can do is, you can assume the cost price of this stuff is X. Cost price is X, and profit is this is 300 by 47% of X. So precisely 300 by 47% of X will be 3 by 47X, and that should be selling price. Okay, so that is actually 1000, and that is 47 plus 350X by 47 is 1000, so it is 47 into 20, 940. Okay, so if this approach is not clear, you can go by this approach also, right? What I assumed the cost price is 1 rupee per gram, or for 1000 rupees the cost price is 1000 rupees. 1000 gram, the cost price is 1000 rupees, right? But in this case, selling price is 1000 rupees. Profit is if I assume cost price is X, profit is 3 by 47 of X. So cost price plus profit, that is actually selling price, because what is doing, he uses a false weight and thus gain this %, but is selling the goods at the cost price. So if I have the quantity of 1000 gram and the purchase price is 1 rupee per gram, that is the cost price, and in this case the cost price is same, that means selling price is 1000 gram, but the quantity has been reduced, right? So if the price is 1 rupee per gram, I just assume the quantity is X, so X rupees is the X rupees per gram, the total price is X rupees, then 3 by 47 of X is the profit, and the cost price plus profit is selling price. So this way also you can go. A bought a radio set and spent rupees 110 on its repair. He then sold it to B at 20% profit. B sold it to C at a loss of 10%, and C sold it this. Okay, what is the amount for which A brought the radio set? Okay, so bright chances are there. We should be getting a round figure after adding 110, right? So bright chances are there. B will be option, but we have to go for the verification. I'll tell you the manual method also. So suppose it is 1000, that is the selling price of A, right? Cost price of A is 890, he is spending 110 on repair, so precisely the cost price of A is 1000, and he sold it to B at 20% profit, that means B's price is 1200. B sold it to C at a loss of 10%, that means it is 1080, and C is selling it for 10% profit, so 10% of this, if I add, it's 1.1, so it is 1188. So that's the data is matched over here. That means 890 was correct. Okay, otherwise what you can do is I suppose the total cost price inclusive of 110, the total cost price of A is rupees X. Okay, inclusive of 110, right? This is cost price of A. Okay, the total cost price inclusive of 110. Now he is selling it to be at 20% profit, so it is the cost price of B. He is selling it to be at 20% profit, so it is cost price of B. Then B is selling it to C at a loss of 10%, so this is the cost price of C. Then C is selling it to some other person, maybe D, at 10% profit, so this is the cost price, selling price of C. Okay, and finally it is 1188. Okay, she sold it for rupees 1188. So that's pretty simple. 1, 2, 3, 12 into 908. So we can divide it, or what I can do is 11 is 108 and 12 into 9 is 108, so it is finally cancelled. So X is equal to 1000 rupees, and X included the repair maintenance charges also, that's repair charges also, that's 110, so I'll deduct that. So purchase price of A is 890. So you can go either way. Now by mixing 2 brands of tea and selling the mixture at the rate of 177 per kilogram, a shopkeeper makes a profit of 18% if every 2 kilogram of one brand costing 200 per kilogram, 3 kilogram of the other brand is added. That means precisely in the ratio 2:3 these two brands are being mixed. It's price for 200 and this price X that we have to find out. Okay, how much per kilogram the other brand cost. So what we can do is we can find out the average price of the mixture, right? So average price of the mixture, suppose it's a 2 into 200, 400 plus 3x divided by 5, right? This is 2 kilogram, this is 3 kilogram, so total price is 400 kilogram. 400 rupees, and it is total price is 3x rupees. That is the price for 5 kilo, because we are taking 2 kilo of this and 3 kilo of this. So average price per kilo is 400 plus 3x by 5, right? This is the average cost price. On this 18% profit is there, so selling price will be 1.18 of this, right? And this is actually 177. So we have to find out the value of X. So there should be something common between these two to make the problem simple. This is 3 into 59, because 16 into 3 180, so 59 3s are, and this must be 59 2s are, right? So here it is. So 400 plus 3x is equal to 750. So 3x is equal to 750 minus 400, 350. So X must be 350 by 3. So it will be none of these, okay, because it will be a fractional value. Okay, the difference between the CI and SI on the sum for 2 years at 10% per annum when the interest is compounded annually is rupees 16. If the interest were compounded half yearly, the difference in two interest would be. Okay, see what is happening over here. First of all, we can assume the amount, the principal, to be 100, right? And 10% per annum simple interest, that means simple interest each year must be 10 rupees and 10 rupees. Okay, and the compound interest is nothing but the interest on interest for the first year. So 10% of this 10 that you will be getting in the second year is that 1. Right? So difference between compound interest and simple interest on the sum for 2 years at 10% is 1 in this case, but we are given this as to be 16. That means 1 is 16. That means we assume the principal to be 100. So 1 is 16, so principal, that is 100, must be 1600. So precisely the principal is 1600. Okay. Now simple interest for the for 2 years on this 1600 at the rate of 10%, it's 320, right? 160 per year. So for 2 years it is 320. That is simple interest. Now we have to calculate compound interest, and it is compounded now half yearly. So 1600 compounded half yearly, so interest rate will be 5%, so it will be 1 plus 5 by 100, or I can say 1 plus 1 by 20, or 21 by 20 for 4 times, and this, from this if I deduct 1600, that is actually compound interest. I take this as common, and we have to find, from this we need to deduct 320. So that is X, and we have to find out this value. Now, in this case, we can use digital root technique to solve, right? 21, see, when you apply digital root technique, just make sure that either you remove the denominator for by cross multiplication, or you just take this in one steps, like 21 by 2, we can even remove 0. That's in case of digital root, 0 is not considered. So it's 10.5, or I can say it's 105 or 1.05, whatever, right? I'm not bothered about the decimal when we apply digital root method. Now digital root of this is 5 into 5 plus 1, 6 raised to 4. Definitely digital root will be multiple of 9, or I can say it's 9, right? 6 raised to anything will have digital root as 9. So this is 9 minus this one 8. 8 into this is 7. 8 sevens are 56. 56, that means 11. I can take it as 2 also, but since this is more than 2, so you will find difficult to get the negative digital root, so I just take it as 11 only. Then 3 plus 2, 5. So 11 minus 5, your final answer should be having digital root as 6. Okay, so we just eliminate. It's 8. Here 4 and 3, 7 and 2, 9. 6 and 3, 9, 2, 8 and 1, 9. Here 6 is the answer. Okay, so this one is your correct answer. Okay.